Greetings, viewers, and welcome back to Phasmophobia for this week's weekly challenge, Survival of the Fittest. Without further ado, let's hop in and see what devs have in store for us this week. Whoa, wait a moment. Future Bombastus here. While I was editing this recording from 2 weeks ago, I realized that unless you know Phasmophobia inside and out, you probably won't have any idea what's going on in this challenge. It was a no sanity, no evidence challenge, and I didn't explain very well exactly what I was doing. So before we get into the games, I'm going to go through some tips and then we can get into the games proper. As I already mentioned, this challenge was no sanity, no evidence. I always recommend players of any experience level give the weekly challenges a go, as there's little risk and decent rewards. Not the best anymore, but still pretty decent. However, I wouldn't recommend trying no evidence or no sanity outside of the weekly challenges unless you are confident in your game knowledge. Knowledge is your main tool for achieving success in Phasmophobia in both no sanity and no evidence. For no sanity, knowledge of the map is key. You need to know where your safest path of escape is, either somewhere you can loop the ghost indefinitely or hiding spots that you can run to. Edgefield is a particularly challenging map, and that's what this challenge is set on, uh, as it only has one looping location in the living room around the couch. It isn't a great looping spot, as it doesn't block line of sight, so the ghost will gain speed, and ghost pathing is a bit strange around the corner table, so they'll double back easily and catch you before you can get out of the room if you're not careful. Still, it's the best we have on this map for testing ghosts where you need to be able to see them for a period of time, and you'll see me using the couch for that purpose. My first major tip is always position yourself so that the ghost isn't between you and your path of escape. Sometimes you'll need to move into dangerous positions where you have to potentially put the ghost between you and your path of escape, or sometimes the ghost might randomly wander into a bad position, leading to the next piece of critical knowledge you'll need to survive, and that's how to use hunter protection items, the incense and the crucifixes. You'll see through the video that I immediately reach for the incense every game. At 0 sanity, I know I'm going to get hunted almost as soon as I walk in to the house. So always prepare for that. Don't forget your igniter, of course, because the incense doesn't light itself. When burnt near the ghost, the incense applies 2 effects when used and when in range. The first one has an effect during a hunt. It blinds the ghost, making it unable to chase or harm the player for the duration. It can still randomly wander in the same direction that you're running and kill you after the time is up, but it generally will save you. Tiers 2 and 3 also slow and stun the ghost respectively. Currently, this protection lasts for 5 seconds. It used to be 6 seconds before the Ascension update. They've reduced it. And like everything else, this could change again in future updates as the game is definitely still being worked on. The second effect is that the ghost is unable to hunt for the next 90 seconds. This is invaluable in no sanity runs as it gives you a window to set up your other equipment, even moving to places that would normally get you killed, where the ghost will hunt from between you and your path of escape. So use the time wisely. This timer starts the second that the ghost is hit with the incense. So it's best applied near the end of the hunt if possible, to give you as much time after the hunt to set up. But it shouldn't need to be said that if you're about to die, use it. You should also start to be cautious after around 60 seconds, as the incense has a reduced effect on the demon. Demon can hunt after 60 seconds. Likewise, it has an increased effect against the spirit, stopping it from hunting for a full 3 minutes. Crucifixes is the next item. I generally use crucifixes in 3 different ways, depending on the situation. What I consider the most important way to use them, and the way I use them most often, is rather than placing them at the center of the ghost room to try and catch as many hunts as possible, I place them so that my escape path is covered. This helps to protect against the ghost wandering out of its room and then starting a hunt, blocking you from your avenue to escape. The next use is to test for certain ghosts. You'll see in two of my games that I had a candle on top of the crucifix. This is to test for the Onryo. Onryo will use the candle preferentially to the crucifix as long as the candle's range is current, because it uses candles as crucifixes. One of its main abilities. You need to be careful with the tier 3 crucifix, because the range of the tier 3 crucifix is actually larger than the candle for the Onryo. The Onryo does stop it out to 4 meters, which is the same as the tier 2 crucifix. The candle works. So you put it on top, and if the ghost uses the crucifix under the candle, you know it cannot be the lit candle, that is, sorry, the lit candle. You know it cannot be an Onryo. You can also use the test for the demon. It has 50% more range with the crucifixes. Generally, though, more often I'd use its 60-second smudge timer. It's the easiest one to time. But sometimes the demon will refuse to hunt within 90 seconds still, even though it can. It's a bit, there's a lot of randomness in the game. It gives the ghost personality. The final use for the crucifix that I care about is if you're going for the secondary objectives and you have the ghost use a crucifix objective. I wouldn't do this on weekly challenges normally because you get nothing. But on high difficulty multiplier, it can be worth a lot of experience and money. So in that case, plonk it down in the middle of the room, ghost room, because you want it to try and use the crucifix. Usually I'll try and get that. If I haven't gotten it already, I'll try and get that after I know what the ghost is. That's about it for no sanity runs. Know the map, use crucifixes and incense wisely, mind your position while not protected by the incense or crucifixes. For no evidence, ghost knowledge is key. There are 24 ghosts in Phasmo, each with their own quirks, and to be successful more often than not, you'll need to know them. I'm not going to go through every ghost here because it'll take hours, but some quick tips that might help you get started on your no evidence runs. The easiest ghosts to identify, especially at 0 sanity, are those with different hunt speeds. You can hear how fast the ghosts are by listening to the beat of their footsteps. So learn how each of these ghosts sound and under what conditions they are either fast or slow. And by knowing what conditions you have and whether they're fast or slow, you'll be able to identify them. But I do recommend that method of just going in, just keep resetting until you get probably one of the fast ghosts, one of the easy ghosts. If you're not confident, but you really want to complete a no evidence challenge weekly, there are at least a few no evidence. I think there's at least 2, because there's also Apocalypse Draws Near. So learn those ghosts and just keep resetting to get them if you really want to get the weekly, but you just don't have the time to learn every single ghost. Other ghosts that can be identified during a hunt include things like the Oni and Phantom and Obake. They can be identified by how they flash. The Poltergeist will throw items like mad. The Yokai is stupid unless it can see you. It attacks you from a very short range. Miling's a bit tough sometimes, but its footsteps are quieter further away. So they fade in with distance at a much shorter distance, at half the distance of every other ghost. So they'll kind of sound like they're getting louder very quickly. The Wraith can now also be tested during a hunt. You can also test it outside of a hunt, though, and that's that it will not disturb salt that it walks through, both inside of a hunt and outside of a hunt. So just throw the salt down where you think it's going to be walking. You can do it obviously in the ghost room, but if you're getting hunts, throw it where you think it's going to path. And then if it doesn't, If you know that the ghost walks over it during a hunt, because you see it walking over it, and it doesn't disturb the salt, it's a wraith. You might have already figured out what the trick is for no evidence runs, and it's something that I'm not particularly great at. That is multitasking. You need to just keep checking and paying attention to all the different behaviors that the ghosts do, both inside of a hunt and outside of a hunt, thinking about them and looking for hints that it might be this ghost or it might be this ghost. That's about it, without going to deeper details on each and every ghost. Just learn the behaviors, keep any suspicious behaviors you see in your mind, and run as many checks as possible with the time that you have. What you'll see in my challenge games is that for 2 of the 3, I ruled out all ghosts with different hunt speeds. I began checking as many ghosts as possible, but the behavior quickly pointed to a particular ghost. I then focused on that ghost until I was satisfied that it was indeed that ghost. And again, couldn't be a mimic because it just didn't do anything else. It did exactly what I expected that particular ghost to do. In the other game, I didn't notice any behavior. And rather anticlimactically, it came down to a timer. It did its ability, but that particular ghost doesn't have any real behaviors associated with it, except for this one thing. And it came down to that timer. I won't spoil which ghost it was, but it was a bit anticlimactic. I kind of was like, oh, well, it's definitely that. After it happened twice, and I just left. Now, hopefully, you gain something out of my tips. And without further ado, let's hop into the challenge. Okay, so here we are at Edgefield. What have we got? We do have flashlight. We are at 0 sanity. No idea if it's broken. But since we're at 0 sanity, it's usually a good idea to go in with a smudge stick. Oh, lights are on. I wonder if the ghost turned it on, or... Let's see. It's a bit dangerous. Here we got lots of hiding places. That's good. Now, on Edgefield, this is really the only place where you can loop the ghost. Is around here. Whoops, she doubled back. Sound like a normal ghost. Normal ghost that speeds up normally. That might be a little tough. There are some ghosts, so I think the challenge said that it was 0 evidence. Was it? I think so, yeah. We don't even get the evidence items. So we're not going to have any evidence items. Really have smudged that. I think I'll do that again. Smudge it to do a smudge timer. See, it looped back. It's actually kind of hard here. You kind of have to be careful with this looping spot. Smudge it. Was she faster that time? Of course, she sped up after seeing me, like all ghosts in line of sight. Checking the time. I should have paid close attention to the time. Now I think she's in here. Oh, they... No? Pretty sure they're he's in here. Get some stuff in here. And then tier 1 items is not the best, particularly tier 1 crucifixes. Actually, in case I have to run like mad. Tier 1 crucifix, tier 1 candle are a bit rough. Whoops, that was a mistake. Not mean to put there. Same with tier 1 salt's not great either. Get another smudge. We hit tier 3 sanity pills though. I don't think they restore anything, but they probably use to get away from the ghost because they do still stop your sanity from draining. So the candles are for, so it's not a wraith. The candle is to try and test for Onryo. Your lighter also counts. This is a little suspicious actually. The fact that you should be able to hunt if it's a normal ghost. It just blew out my lighter. I think this might be an Onryo. Yeah, I think it's an Onryo. So just wait. Hello there. Blow everything out. So it sounds like it didn't start coming to me for a long time, so this is probably really long grace period, so we can actually be a bit more suicidal than I normally would be. Okay, so if it's a spirit, it should get a hunt sometime soon. Blowing out these cans. So an Onryo doesn't actually have a higher chance to, well, normally it doesn't have a higher chance to blow out candles. If it kills a player, it gains the ability to blow out candles more often after killing players, but obviously I'm playing this solo, so that doesn't apply. However, once you're in hunting range, of course we're at 0 sanity starting this mission, so we're definitely within hunting range the entire time. When it tries to hunt, it will blow out a candle instead. And you see how consistent it is at blowing out either my lighter or the candle? Nice. I think that's... So what it does is it uses the candle as a crucifix. So instead of the crucifix, see the crucifix here is fine. It hasn't been used. Once this runs out, I'm just going to let it run out now. We're going to stand here a little bit longer until it hunts. Just get one more hunt. Don't leave me. Come back here. The reason being is it could be a shade, because shade can't hunt while you're in the room as well. The shade doesn't care about candles, so we'll blow that out. Oh, Jesus, as soon as that candle is gone. And it was definitely in that room, I think, unless it was in the bathroom. Maybe it was in the bathroom, but I would say this is almost certainly on Rio. So it'll use it uses candle or your lighter in the same way as a normal ghost will use a crucifix, but it's a 4-meter range. So that's why we put the crucifix underneath it. For the tier 2 and tier 1, it works well. Basically, if the crucifix is ever used, it can't be an Onryo, pretty much. It's very unlikely to be Onryo. Tier 1, it pretty much can't be because it's 4-meter range. Tier 1's only a 3-meter radius. The tier 3 crucifix, though, has a 5-meter radius, so it can still use... Basically have to use more candles if you want to guarantee that the Onryo isn't accidentally using the crucifix instead of using your candle. There you go, classic Onryo. So that's
ready for you.
one of the more difficult ghosts on a zero evidence challenge. But if you just get candle in there and you just notice that it's zero sanity, it isn't hunting, it's probably an Onryo. It's just blowing candles out continuously. So every time it tries to hunt, like I said, it doesn't have an increased chance to blow out candles, but once it gets in hunting range, because it's trying to hunt every 20 seconds or so, 25 seconds, whatever the cooldown is, it keeps blowing candles out, just keeps blowing candles out, trying to hunt repeatedly. And as long as you keep lighting them, it can't. So that's what you're looking for the Onryo. There we go. So yeah, zero evidence is pretty difficult. Like you need to know the game very well. Basically, you need to either watch a lot of the content. Probably should turn the light on first, or play a lot. Are you in here? Bet you it is. Ideal. Let's stand here then. See if it can hunt. Now it may not actually be in here, because again a ghost event can happen from a room that the ghost is not in. If this is a shade. This is the reason why. So the shades have a higher chance to do ghost balls. That's why I decided to walk back into this room, thinking it might have been in this room. No. It is a farm 2. I think. It's a hunt too. It's really slow. Oh, it's still hunting. I think so, wasn't it? Was it really slow? It seemed like it was really slow until it got into that room. We don't have a thermo. We can't even tell what temperature that room is. But if this is the ghost room, I'm going to wait around for one more hunt, which is going to be a while because of the there's no other real ghost this can be, because it's not a revenant. If it was a revenant, it would have murdered me. It would have been way faster and way slower. But I'll stick around for one more hunt and just skip ahead to that for you guys just to hear it again. But I think we've got ourselves a hunt 2 here by the fact that it seemed very slow. Hello, 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 hello. No, it's... Maybe it wasn't slow. That sounded really... I don't know. It's one of the more difficult ghost sounds. Maybe it wasn't slow walking speed that first game. That first hunt, I should say. Did seem like that was faster than what I'd expect. Actually don't know where this ghost is. Where are you? Wasn't really paying attention, but I thought we had it. Phone! Not that it really matters. Downstairs or in the kitchen? Just waiting. Nice. Is that a Uri ability? I don't think. Might have been. Might be in here. Maybe I was just hearing it strange. Maybe it just sounded very strange to me. It wasn't actually that fast. It wasn't that slow, I should say. I wonder if this is a shade, like my initial thoughts, but it's not hunting. And that second hunt was definitely definitely before the smudge timer wore off. And it's doing absolutely nothing. Has to be shade. So shade again has a higher chance for ghost orbs. I've got cold breath, so I'm pretty sure this is the ghost room. Yep. And now that I'm standing in the ghost room, it can't hunt. I think we've passed the spirit mark. The second one, but it definitely hunted before that for the one before it. So the other thing is this could be a mimic, maybe. I'm just going to go with shade, because that's not doing much. Shade, there we go. So again, it wasn't doing anything while I was standing in the room. Other than touching doors, which it's allowed to do. You can touch doors, but that's about the only thing you can do. It wasn't able to hunt while I was in the room. It definitely wasn't a spirit, because it hunted within 3 minutes. Actually, I thought it actually hunted early, but it must have hunted exactly on 1.5 minutes after I smudged it, or pretty close to that anyway. I forgot to look at the time, so I might be a little bit off. So when you're in the room, again, it has a higher chance of doing shadow and ghost orb events, I think. It basically got the lowest chance of any of the ghosts to actually show itself when it does a ghost event fully. And I think we had a shadow, we had a ghost ball and a shadow. When you're doing a normal game, the other thing to look out for with shade is that if you're at 100% sanity, it cannot do ghost events ever. Cannot at all do ghost events at 100%. But at 100%, it's got a 100% chance to fail. But at 50% and lower, it has a 0% chance to fail when it runs its check whether it wants to do a ghost event and then can I do a ghost event. When it does that and it does the rolls, it's 100% chance to fail when the average team sanity is at 100%. But at 50% or lower average team sanity, it has a 0% chance to fail. So that early ghost event, Shades can do that when you're at 0 sanity. Totally fine. Shades can definitely do that. They're just exactly as active with ghost events as every other ghost at 0% sanity. But from memory, I think from what we've got from the devs, they aren't supposed to be able to throw items whilst the player's in the room, and they aren't supposed to be able to hunt while the player's in the room. But I think what it is is that sometimes it bugs out where the ghost, basically the game, because I've definitely had them hunt in the same room as me, but a lot of the time they don't. So it works most of the time. It makes me think that it is bugged. There's a bug where sometimes it misidentifies which room the player's in and which room the ghost is in, or which room the ghost is in, so that actually the game thinks you're in different rooms even though you're not. Because you can have it hunt deep into a massive room while you're standing in there for like the last 5 minutes, and it can just hunt. And you see it start its hunt. So it's definitely sometimes it's a bit buggy. But a lot of the time it's not, as you saw there. When I was in the room, it was over 3 minutes after I smudged it, and it just didn't hunt. So it's a shame. Okay, round 3. Had some relatively tough ghosts, actually. Not the hardest. Ure is probably the... Well, Goryo is probably the... Actually, Goryo is the worst in this challenge, because I think from last time this came up, because again, this is one of the repeat... Well, actually, they're all repeats at the moment until more are going to be added a bit later. There's no ghost room change. What? They ghosted it. Okay. The ghost can't change its favorite room, and on no evidence, the only way to identify Goryo is by seeing if it never changes its favorite room, which a lot of ghosts just don't anyway. Smudged it. About 23:15. Am I recording? Before that. Okay, that seemed again like a normal. Maybe I didn't get a good look at it. I mean, I did, but I wasn't paying attention to the blinking or the sound. Did it sound like it could be a miling? Maybe. I don't know where this guy is. Which sucks a bit, but anyway. What am I doing that for? Now, it's going to be a little tougher because I don't have any idea where this guy is. It's an upstairs ghost, that's about it. Yeah, I mean, it started its hunt up here, so throwing that is not really not really that useful of an indicator. Oops. Don't need that anymore. Ah, I don't want that. So yeah, tier 3 crucifix, you kind of have to put candles around the place. Is that a polter explosion? I think that was more than one item, wasn't it? Or maybe not. I don't know. It looked like it was only one item. That was a hell of a throw. I want to set up a polter pile now. I think think this is a poltergeist. Keep that because didn't touch that though. Didn't really touch those shoes either. Although I think the ghosts tend to cut this corner so much that they don't actually get within range of these shoes, believe it or not. Through the doggy. Doggy's not normally down with the shoes. The doggo did throw one of the shoes. I think this could be a poltergeist. Just that throw was very powerful. Which means I think you are in here, aren't you? Can't touch that one. Alright, we're at just over 2 minutes now. Yes, hello there. Seeing ghost event. I don't think it's a banshee, but it's something to think about. But there's only a single singing ghost event, which really isn't enough to start thinking banshee. That's why. A little dangerous. Hello. Oops, I went the wrong way. I think this is a poltergeist, maybe. Possibly. Maybe not. Didn't hunt for a long time. It was a little pathetic for a polter, wasn't it? It did throw nearly everything. I think it was a little too pathetic for a poltergeist. Oh, candle's gone out. Is this ghost? In here. There isn't really that much throwing items. I mean, this shoe's gone. I mean, that's a pretty damn strong throw. Normal ghosts can kind of do that, unfortunately. The crucifix is good for testing on Rio, but it's not too good for keeping me alive. So I'm gonna go get another one. So what I mean by that is you often want to cover your escape, because you don't want the ghosts hunting from where you're going to be running to. But of course, to test for the Onryo, you kind of want it to be right in the middle of the room. They'll do. Creepy sounds. Show us. Show yourself. Give us a sign. I think this is a spirit, actually. I think it's a spirit that's just got really hefty throws. Should be able to hunt right about now, I think. It's a spirit. Oh, I just used the crucifix. That's right, there's a bug at the moment. So that's, yeah. So spirits are ones that you just kind of figure out by waiting. It's a little bit anticlimactic. I'm testing for a poltergeist, ends up being a spirit, but that's twice now, where it's about 3 minutes for it to hunt. So again, I haven't ruled out shade or anything, but that's really indicative of a spirit. So much so that I'm just going to go. So spirit has the smudge stick. Yeah, it has its two effects. It has the one where it two effects that it applies both of them all the time, but only one works during a hunt, and that's the where it kind of like blinds the ghost, or slows the ghost and stuns the ghost for tier 2 and tier 3. But it also applies another effect that the ghost can't hunt other than through cursed possessions. They can still hunt by cursed possessions, but they can't hunt naturally for another minute and a half. And it's 60 seconds for a demon, and it's twice as effective for a spirit, so it's 3 minutes. And that was twice that it hunted almost exactly at 3 minutes, which is a very spirit thing to do. So again, it wasn't a wraith. It didn't look like many of these other ghosts. There we go, spirit back. So that was actually 3. So ideally, like, you can, if you're really struggling with this weekly challenge, you can just go in and just go for the fast ghosts or the slow ghosts. Although if you miss here, like I did with the second ghost, it can be a bit challenging. But quite often you can just hear the speeds and you can complete the challenges that way. But otherwise, though, there are more difficult ones like you just saw. One thing to be aware of, you have to be kind of careful with the on-Rio test that I did, the shade and the spirit, not to confuse what's causing them to not be hunting. So the on-Rio, I was so certain because as soon as the smudge time was up, it just started blowing candles out non-stop, and that's it being used as a crucifix. It's just using the candles as crucifix non-stop, basically. That's a very on-Rio thing to do. Whereas a shade wouldn't be doing that in general, right? And I stood there with my lighter in the room, and it didn't blow my lighter out once while I was standing in the room for the shade. A spirit, once that 3 minutes is up after the smudge, boom. Yeah, but they're kind of 3 you can accidentally confuse yourself with if you're running all the tests. You're trying to run all the tests simultaneously, because those 3 don't hunt, but they don't hunt for different reasons. They don't hunt as often. They don't hunt for different reasons, and often with the on-Rio, you have to be in the room lighting the candle continuously. You can accidentally think it's a shade. You can actually think it's an on-Rio when it's actually a shade because you're just standing in the room, or vice versa. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, remember, dose makes the poison.